Stop listening. No, not you all. No, I was talking to the. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I do need to bring somebody's attention to somebody's attention because somebody ain't paying attention. Huh? Exactly. If you hear anybody, anyone talking about HJR 192, stop listening because they don't know what they're talking about. Wait, hold on. You can let them know, hey, that ain't what it's called. But they're so stuck in their lack of knowledge, which really means ignorance, that they simply don't understand. Pay attention. Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933. That's the easiest way to find it. That's the easiest way to understand it. Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933 was a joint resolution passed by the United States Congress. It's not House Joint Resolution, it's called Joint Resolution. Hold on now, we ain't finished. That essentially invalidated the gold clause in contracts. Now, hold on now. That ain't all it did. Don't focus on the gold clause. That's not the point. Pay attention. Meaning that any obligation previously requiring payment in gold or any other coin or currency of the United States could be paid in the standard US dollar. That's not what it said, y'all. Hold on. We're going to go and read what it actually said. Hey, Congress. Yeah, yo, homie, what up? We're going to talk to Congress. We're going to find out what they said in joint resolution, which started from House Joint Resolution. Okay, it started from House Joint Resolution, but not the joint resolution you thought it started from. Hold on now. We got to make the page bigger so y'all can see because some of y'all in the back of the class, y'all can't see all the way up here in the front of the class. Okay, it started from a House Joint Resolution, but let's pay attention to what it really talks about. Authorizing the exchange of coins and currencies and immediate payment of gold clause securities by the United States, withdrawing the right to sue the United States therein, limiting the use of certain appropriations and for other purposes. Now, we're going to focus on this, but we want you to focus on this right here. Whereas, in order to maintain the uniform value of all coins and currency of the United States, Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933 declared provisions known as gold clauses to be against public policy. Now, hold on. This is the one that you want because this is your current understanding. But we're going to go to Joint Resolution number 10 because that's of June 5th. Remember, this one ain't of June 5th. This one, pay attention, right here, August 27th. So we're going to go to June 5th. Give us a second so we can go to June 5th. Then we're going to come back to August 22nd. All right. Now, pay attention, all of you, so that you understand. It was really called the Act of June 5th and 6th of 1933. I used to do videos on this one all the time. The June 5th and 6th Act of 1933 was what it was referred to. Okay? Pay attention. June 5th and 6th. Resolved by the Senate and House. Now, why does it start off with resolved? Because page 112. That's why you keep hearing everybody talking about 73rd Congress, page 112, because it starts on page 112. But it says, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that every provision contained in or made with respects to any obligation, any debt obligation, or any obligation of the United States, or any obligation you have, which purports to give the obligee, the creditor, the right to require payment in gold. Don't focus on gold. That's not the point. Or now we're going to find out what the point is. A particular kind of coin or currency or an amount of the money the United States measured thereby is declared to be against public policy. No one can demand payment for a debt. Not know that Congress took away all debts of the United States in 1933 by this act? Not HJR 192, but the Act of June 5th and 6th, 1933, Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th and 6th, 1933. Don't believe me? Let's go. You see the date right here. Watch this. Let's scroll on down. Whereas in order to maintain the uniform value of all coins and currencies of the United States, public resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933 declared provisions known as gold clauses, pay attention, or demand for payment in any other coin or currency of the United States measured thereby to be against public policy. You don't believe me? Now remember, this is Congress saying this. This is not me. Measured thereby is declared to be against public policy, and no such provision shall be contained in or made with respects to any obligation hereafter incurred permanently. Permanently. This has not been repealed, everyone. No one can demand payment for a debt. I know. It's hard to convey this to the idiots to get them to understand. No one can demand payment for a debt. That's why you get to offset the debt. That's why you get to write it off. Please understand. Somebody has been trying to yell this at you guys, but you're not able to hear through the yelling. So we're going to try to take it slow. HJR 192 is not a law. The actual law is called the Act of June 5th, 1933, or pay attention, Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933. Now, the original title of the act is the Act to Uniform the Value of the Coins and Currencies of the United States. Okay, but we ain't gonna go there. Okay, we ain't gonna go there. There ain't no need to go there. We're gonna go here. Every obligation, every debt obligation heretofore, up to this point, or hereafter, anytime after 1933, incurred, in other words, anybody incurring a debt, whether or not such a provision is contained within that contract or not, or is made with respects to any contract, shall be discharged upon payment dollar for dollar in any coin or currency which is at the time legal tender for the payment of debts, both public and private. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You guys have not been reading this correctly. It says in any coin or currency, which is at the time payment for that debt, whether it's a public debt or a private debt, dollar for dollar. Well, let's tell you what dollar for dollar means. First, let's go to obligation. As used in this resolution, the term obligation means any obligation including every obligation of and to the United States, except in currency. Well, you know what an obligation of the United States is? Notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, and trade acceptances. Don't take my word for it. Pay attention. The term coin or currency means coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes, circulating notes, which are bank notes, circulating notes of the Federal Reserve Bank, and national associations. Doggy, we got some talking. I need y'all to hold on. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but sometimes you just gotta understand something. Here in the book of Matthew, yeah, that's right, you heard me. I said the book of Matthew. It says, go and learn what this means. Wait a minute. Go and learn what this means. Ladies and gentlemen, let's understand the Federal Reserve Act. This has not been amended. Pay attention. This act is still the same since 1933. Why? Because they can't change it. Why can't they change it? Because if they change it, they come out of the bankruptcy. You see, this is what allows the Federal Reserve Bank to operate. Without this, the Federal Reserve Bank has no power. It's not pay attention, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. No, it's the subsequent amendments, with this being the major amendment. This is the Trading with the Enemy Act, originally created October 6, 1917, and amended March 9, 1933. There have been some subsequent amendments, but those amendments have been minor. They haven't changed this substance. Okay, pay attention because it's very important that you understand what it's talking about. So understand what it means. Such notes, drafts, bills of exchange, and bankers' acceptances, so deposited as security, they are securities. That's the first thing you need to understand. They qualify as securities not under the Securities Exchange Act, but the Securities Act of 1933. Shh, not supposed to know that. Such notes shall be obligations of the Federal Reserve. So they are obligations. Didn't we just learn about obligations? Hold on now, because some of y'all don't understand obligations. It says, as used in this resolution, the term obligation means any obligation, including every obligation of the United States accepting currency, payable in monies of the United States. And the term coin or currency means any coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of the Federal Reserve banks. Now, hold on now. We got to understand what a circulating note of the Federal Reserve Bank. When such circulating notes are issued against the security of obligations of the United States, the amount of such circulating notes shall be equal to the face value of the direct obligation of the United States to deposit in that security. And when issued against the security of notes, drafts, bills of exchange, yo junk, bankers' acceptances acquired under the provisions of this act, it has to be under the provisions of this act. Don't be looking to no other act. Stick to this act. The amount thereof shall be equal to not more than 90% of the estimated value of such notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, so deposited as securities. And such notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances shall be obligations of the Federal Reserve Bank receiving it. Now, what are you guys doing? Allowing them to claim that you still owe them money? Why aren't you bringing this into the courtroom saying they've already been paid? The promissory note was done under the provisions of the Federal Reserve Act. And when done so, it represented 90%. That's why I paid 10% down. So they got 100% of their value. Let them show on the record that they didn't get the value of the agreement. Because other than that, they're violating the law. What law is that? Public Resolution number 10 of June 5th, 1933, which says nobody can demand payment because it is a dollar for dollar issue. How is it dollar for dollar? Well, ladies and gentlemen, 90% of the estimated value of such note, the value of the note is face value. You don't believe me? Go look at 12 USC 414 and 12 USC 412. The promissory note, which is called the collateral security, cannot be for more than the Federal Reserve notes applied for. Now, pay attention. This is important, y'all. These notes shall be receivable at par. Let's find out what this means. Y'all ready for this? Sorry, we're not about to do a rap song. Y'all ready for this? Anyway, give me 1 second. I know you're gonna dig this. I'm not gonna say don't believe the hype. We gotta go. That's where we're going. Gotta turn this on for a second, y'all. I need to know what this phrase means. No nuances, comma, no clarifications, comma, just answer the question. Stop listening. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Waiting to make a left hand turn, ladies and gentlemen, because you know they ain't gonna get it right. Now I want y'all to pay attention. I'm gonna let it explain it to you so that y'all get it. Because again, this is what you all should be doing. You're going to all these other things, doing all this other research on this other junk. Stop letting them distract you. Stay on point. Do not get distracted, people. You know what you're trying to do. You're trying to discharge your debts. Well, you need to understand the law you're operating under. It says henceforth, meaning from that point until eternity is ended. And you know eternity doesn't ever end. So it means forever and ever and ever, ever and ever, 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 ever. Okay, Andre 8000.
The phrase "shall be receivable at par in all parts of the United States for the same purposes as our national banknotes, and shall be redeemable in lawful money of the United States on presentation at the United States Treasury or at the bank of issue" means 1. Receivable at par. The financial instrument referred to, e.g., notes, bonds, or certificates, must be accepted at its full face value, par value, anywhere in the United States without any discount. 2. Same purposes as national bank notes. These instruments are treated equivalently to national bank notes in terms of usage, such as payments for debts, taxes, or other financial obligations. 3. Redeemable in lawful money. The holder of this instrument can present it at designated locations, the United States Treasury or the issuing bank, to exchange it for lawful money, which refers to legally recognized currency under U.S. laws, such as coins, Treasury issued notes, or other forms of legal tender.
Now, y'all hold on because y'all still don't get it yet. I know. I see the light bulbs. I see the smoke with all of those little gears cranking and everything. And I mean, it's like you, oh man, people are like, oh my God, do you know what I just did? No, we ain't finished yet. Wake up. Can you please explain to me what is another name for national banknotes? Stop listening. You guys need to know what national banknotes are. Let's see.
Another name for national bank notes is national currency. These were banknotes issued by national banks under the National Banking Acts of 1863 and 1864, and they were backed by U.S. government securities deposited with the U.S. Treasury. National currency served as a form of legal tender and circulated widely before the federal.
So we're gonna cut him off. Okay, I'm gonna take care of this in a minute, but we're gonna cut him off because he didn't explain to you that national banknotes are the same as circulating notes of the Federal Reserve. Stop listening. Now let me go ahead and correct him, okay? Because he's saying no, they're not. He's saying national banknotes were issued by national banks. And it says, so let's clear this up so that we get an understanding. Sorry, give me 1 second. I hate it when he argues with me because he always arguing. I mean, like he ain't got no better thing to do. Copy. And then we got one more section down here. Where's that national? Okay, we got the national bank currency. So give me bebop, 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 bop, bop. 1 second, y'all. Let me do this there, and we put our 3 dots. That means continuation, and then we go appropriations, and we go right here, and we go copy, and we go there, and it's done. And we just do that right there and let him recorrect himself. So he's saying they're similar to national banknotes. Federal Reserve circulating notes of the Federal Reserve, which is not true. Circulating notes of the Federal Reserve, circulating notes as Federal Reserve notes. Pay attention. These notes, like national banknotes, are issued as part of the currency system, blah, blah, blah. So, excuse me, had to cough. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're trying to get you guys to understand is that your junk is at par with these. See, National Bank of the United States is the Federal Reserve. Those national banks were Federal Reserve banks. So they were circulating notes of the Federal Reserve. Those are the notes that circulated within the banking system. The system knows this. He knows this. Whew. Okay. While circulating notes are issued against the United States government obligations, the amount of currency issued must be equal to the face value of those obligations. When issued against other financial instruments such as notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, the currency issued can be up to 90% of their estimated value. This reflects the risk-based approach of currency banking or backing. And again, relationship between national banknotes and Federal Reserve notes both served as circulating currency. National banknotes were issued by individual banks chartered under the National Bank Act, while Federal Reserve notes are issued by the Federal Reserve Bank under the Federal Reserve Act. Wake up. You are a liar, comma. National Bank of the United States is the Federal Reserve Bank, and the notes issued by the national banks were considered Federal Reserve bank notes. Exclamation mark. Circulating notes of the Federal Reserve were called Federal Reserve bank notes. Period. Also, comma, the Federal Reserve did not print circulating notes. You moron! Exclamation mark. Stop listening? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, he's stupid. I mean, he really is stupid. Many of y'all may not be understanding the conversation I'm having with him right now, but pay attention right here. Any Federal Reserve Bank making such deposit in the manner prescribed by the Secretary of the Treasury shall be entitled to receive from the Comptroller of the Currency circulating notes in blank. It is not the so-called Federal Reserve that produces Federal Reserve notes or Federal Reserve circulating notes or Federal Reserve bank notes. It was always the Treasury's responsibility, even to this day. I gotta correct this because it always gets the one V wrong, which is Roman numeral 4. I hate it when he argues with me. You are absolutely correct. Why would I be absolutely correct? National banknotes and Federal Reserve banknotes. National banknotes issued by national banks that were declared under the Federal Reserve, I mean, under the Banking Act. These notes were backed by the United States government deposit Federal Reserve notes issued by the Federal Reserve banks under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, but distinct from the more common Federal Reserve note, primarily circulating currency today. Backed either by direct obligation in the United States or other financial instruments such as notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances. These notes were issued in blank by the comptroller of the currency after being duly countersigned. Okay, Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes. Federal Reserve notes were issued as circulating notes, but were distinct from Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve bank notes, sorry, as commonly used today. Circulating notes could only be issued upon deposit of qualifying securities, such as those listed under Title 4, Section 401, to ensure that they were fully backed. Federal Reserve banks did not themselves circulate notes directly. Instead, they were issued in blank form that they could write any amount they wanted on there and completed by the Treasury and Comptroller of the Currency. The distinction and clarification: Federal Reserve banknotes and Federal Reserve notes and Federal Reserve banknotes were both a form of circulating currency, either United States monetary history, both issued under different frameworks and statute. My point underscores that Federal Reserve banknotes were indeed called circulating notes, exactly, and their issuance was explicitly tied to deposits made to the Federal Reserve banks. Thank you for the clarification. No, you welcome, ignorant mother. Okay. The point being, ladies and gentlemen, the point that you all need to understand is this right here. Sorry, wrong page. We have to go back here. I know. You guys are going to have to do your own research. You're going to get the links to these two documents. Okay. I'm going to give you the link to these two documents. Now, remember, we're not getting this from Google. We're getting this from the congressional website, govinfo.gov. Okay. Govinfo.gov is the website Congress created. You're getting the actual act. Go read the act for yourself. Okay. Let me make sure that you all understand what's being said here. It says that every provision in any contract, doesn't matter if it's your promissory note or your automobile loan or your student loan, that gives the creditor, whoever the person that you are getting the loan from, the right to require payment in gold or, pay attention to that or, it's very important, a particular kind of coin or currency or an amount of money of the United States measured thereby is against public policy. And it is against the law, public policy, because the Supreme Court in Erie Railroad versus Tompkins ruled that we are under public policy ever since 1933. We are under public policy. Go back and read it. Erie versus Tompkins. Everybody focused on the common law thing, and they didn't focus on the public policy issue. 1938 was when the Supreme Court made that decision, and it's a precedent that's still standing to this day. So it's a violation of the law for anybody to demand a payment in a particular kind of coin or currency or an amount of money of the United States measured thereby. And no such provision, even if it's contained in or made with respects to any obligation or debt, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even count. Every obligation hereafter incurred, whether or not such a provision is contained in or may with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment at par, dollar for dollar, meaning equal value, dollar for dollar, in any coin or currency that is at the time of payment legal tender for public and private debts. What is legal tender? Let me explain it, people. He just explained it to you when I gave him this information. Sorry, we got to go up here. Receivable at par. The financial instrument reference, e.g., that is, notes, drafts, bills of exchange, or certificate, must be accepted at its full face value, dollar for dollar, anywhere in the United States without any discounts. For the same purposes as national banknotes, which were considered legal tender. I know many people didn't understand that. These instruments were treated as the equivalent to national banknotes in terms of usage, accepted as payment, such as payments for debts, taxes, because they were acceptable as tax payments. That means they were legal tender because you can only use legal tender to pay taxes. Shh. Or other financial obligations, redeemable and lawful money. Don't focus on the redeemable, focus on the receivable at par and for the same purposes as national banknotes. So, when you all are writing on these bills and you're trying to A for V and you're trying to make your bill into a payment coupon and all of this stuff, how can you do that if you don't understand these foundational points? Look, doesn't matter who made the painting. It doesn't matter how well the painting looks. If you don't know the material of the painting, why would you buy it? It could disintegrate. The ink used could be disappearing ink. You could buy the painting and tomorrow it is a blank canvas. You have to know what materials you're operating with. You guys are not going back to the foundation. You're going back to the penthouse because you want to live in a penthouse and you don't even realize that that building, the reason why that penthouse was so cheap is because they knew the foundation was faulty and you're living on a fault, earthquake fault. And there's going to be an earthquake tomorrow. So your purchase of that penthouse will be worthless because you haven't gotten insurance yet. People, understand the foundation of what you're doing first. Understand what is and is not money, what is and is not currency, what is and is not a debt. This is what I did. I go to the foundation. I go to how it all began. So, again, I got to put these links in the description of the video. Remember, YouTube doesn't want me to use links. So, we're going to go to the Eon channel. I'm going to create Eon.tv channel. It's not available to you guys yet. We're looking at the end of December, but we might be end of January the way things are going. We're trying to make it perfect. We ran into another snafu this morning, so we're trying to make it perfect. So you have to pardon me, but we'll get that information to you. You'll have your links to these two documents: public resolution and joint resolution. You'll have your access to that. Remember, stop using the phrase HJR 192. That's why you're not accomplishing anything, because you guys are putting HJR 192 in your documents. That's invalidating your documents. Invalidating it. That's why they're not paying attention to you. Call it for what it is. Stop calling it for what it ain't. A House joint resolution is not a law, but a joint resolution, now you're starting to talk. But you have to identify the joint resolution because they make joint resolutions all the time. So you have to identify the date and the year. So June 5th, 1933. Hey, have a good day, everybody. Don't say I ain't never did nothing for y'all.